So in review, this tank is ready for the clownfish or the fish in the quarantine tank to go in here, and then we can get some new fish for the quarantine tank, which we leave for a month before they then go in here. In review, I'm very happy with the filtration and what's going on. I'm happy with the heating. Temperature in regards to getting too hot is something that will need reviewing over time. It's not been a hot summer. We've discussed how the sand needs to be well agitated if you want it to stay white. We've discussed how the rocks will not stay white, and over time they will eventually go coralline, which is this color here on the snail, that purpley color, and that means we're winning. We've had a little discussion on lights. We are happy with the water flow. So all in all, it is very rare for me to say that I'm happy with the situation with an aquarium, and never ever before have I said that somebody is too patient. So there you go. There's a first time for everything. Never say never. Now I just got asked the $10,000 question. How many fish can I put in this tank? Well, how many fish you put in the tank is exactly related to how much maintenance you're prepared to do. If you don't have too many fish in the tank, you will not need to do as much maintenance because you will not get as much organic waste. If you put lots of fish in the tank, you're going to have lots of waste, and therefore you're going to have to do lots of maintenance. So the things that make the difference: number one, more fish equals more waste. Number two, the bigger the fish, the more the waste the fish produces. So Bornemann suggests that if you have one fish in this hand that weigh 1 kilogram, and you have 20 fish in the other hand that weigh 1 kilogram, I don't know what he's doing with fish in his hand, but this is a quote from him, from a seminar I went to of his in Chicago, I think it was. But anyway, the 1 kilogram fish requires 20 times the load of the 20 small fish. So therefore, bigger fish are disproportionately less efficient than small fish. So if you have small fish, they use way less capacity in your aquarium. So if you have less fish, you have smaller fish, you do less maintenance. You have more fish, you have bigger fish, you do more maintenance. Full stop. And then the only other thing that makes a big difference would be food. So the food you feed is a massive difference. For example, if you use lots of frozen food, you're going to get a lot of waste. If you use cheap foods, you're going to get a lot of waste. If you use very high quality foods like Danichi, slow cooked, raw state foods, you only need to feed a very small amount. The fish will get all the nutrients they want, and they will produce very little waste. But with the high quality, high nutrient fish, if you overfeed them, then you'll also get a lot of waste. So you need to accurately feed. And then there are foods like New Life Spectrum's probiotics. Now, probiotics have got probiotic bacteria in it, which means that when the fish poo, the bacteria in the poo eats the poo. So the question was, what sort of fish should we get next? So the clownfish and the bicolor blenny are going in there. These are absolute favorite fish of mine. But the next thing to be aware of when adding new fish to your tank is how big do the fish grow? So just have that in mind. And whether they get along with your other fish, have that in mind. Therefore, whenever you come down to choose some fish, make sure you bring a sample of your water and a little video of your setup so we can see what's in the tank. And the other thing to bear in mind is how easy the fish are to keep. So all corals and all fish, we rate as a 1, a 2, or a 3. And what we mean by that at Majestic Aquariums, and at Majestic Aquariums we write that on the tank as far as the fish are concerned, but a number 1 fish means it's very easy to keep. If you buy a number 1 fish and it dies, I'm confident that if you bring me a sample of water and a video, I can tell you exactly why it died. A number 2 fish means that maybe it just died. Maybe it's just not as tough. And then a number 3 fish means it's probably going to die. And I'm probably not going to know why. Or the conditions that it needs is probably not going to be present. So when you're buying a fish, or if you're buying a coral, you want to show us your setup, and then you want to ask for a number 1. A number 1 means it is likely to only die if you do something that allows it to die. Now, why does a fish die? or why does a coral die? They only die because there's too much of something or not enough of something as a generalization. If there's too much light or not enough light for coral, if there's too much flow or not enough flow, if your pH is too high or too low, so it's all about balance. So your corals and fish should grow, and if they're not growing, they're dying. And ultimately, some are easier to keep than others. So when you're going to purchase them, show us the video, let us check your water. If we're confident with what's going on, we can then recommend 1, 2, or 3. So basically, at the end of the day, if we look at a tank like this, tangs are very good, but any tangs you want, you really should be putting them in at the same time, because once you establish tangs in this tank, then they may fight with new ones because of territoriality, and that goes for most groups of fish. So if we put clownfish in it, we don't want to put more later. If we put angels in it, we don't want to put more later. If we put tangs in it, we don't want to put more later. So in this tank, things like a puffer, like a little saddleback puffer would be nice. A hawkfish would be nice, assuming we don't have shrimp. Some small tangs would be nice. Little rabbit fish or fox face would be nice. Cardinal fish would be nice. There's really a whole realm of fish that you can choose. By all means, we could look at dwarf angelfish, but just be aware that the bigger angelfish do tend to end up attacking your coral, and some angelfish are a little bit harder to look after. Be very careful of any things like butterflies or Moorish idols or anything that's hard to keep. Anthias, they're hard to keep. So just be really conscious when you buy the fish. Show us the video, and you got to ask, is this easy to keep? And if you think you're speaking to someone that just wants to sell you anything, then be very conscious. Maybe even make yourself a fish wish list. Best thing you could do. Go online, make a list of fish, then email me that list to my email, and then I could review what fish you're going to get. And then there's 2 things you need to decide. Number 1 is when those fish get introduced, because you want to introduce them in groups. And then I can go through and say, well, that fish is too big, that fish is too skitty, that fish is too hard to keep, that fish is too expensive, that fish is freshwater, whatever the problem is, and we can iron out what the options are. And then once you've got that opinion, you can then get the opinion from other people as well, and that'll confuse the hell out of you.